Carswell. He defected to UKIP from the Conservative Party almost 3 years ago, but yesterday announced he was quitting to sit as an independent. His surprise defection came in August 2014, saying only UKIP can shake up that little cosy clique called Westminster. But his bromance with Nigel Farage turned sour when Mr Carswell criticised the so-called shock and awful strategy as mean-spirited and wrong. Then, during the EU referendum campaign last year, Nigel Farage was part of the unofficial Leave.eu campaign, whereas Douglas Carswell opted to support the official Vote Leave campaign. Just last month, former UKIP leader Nigel Farage accused Douglas Carswell of thwarting his chances of being awarded a knighthood, writing that the time for him to go is now. Announcing his resignation on his website yesterday, Mr Carswell said, "I desperately wanted us to leave the EU. Now we can be certain that's going to happen. I've decided I'll be leaving UKIP." When Mr Carswell left the Conservative Party in 2014, he resigned as an MP, triggering a by-election. "I must seek permission from my boss," he said, referring to the people of Clacton. This time, though, Mr Carswell has said there will be no by-election. We're joined from Salford now by UKIP leader Paul Nuttall. Paul Nuttall, welcome back to the programme.
Morning.
Are you happy to see the back of your only MP?
Well, do you know, Andrew, I'm always sad when people leave UKIP, whether that's at a grassroots level or indeed whether it's at a parliamentary level. But, you know, I'm sad, but I'm not surprised by this. There's been a drift between Douglas and UKIP over the past couple of years. His relationship with Nigel Farage and certainly hasn't helped, and it's sort of a hangover from the former regime which I inherited. I tried to bring the party together. I thought I'd done that for a few months, but it seems now as if I was only papering over the cracks. And Douglas is gone, and we will move on, and I think we can be a more unified party as a result.
Did Mr Carswell jump, as Nigel Farage has claimed, because he expected to be pushed at your National Executive Committee tomorrow?
Well, Douglas was coming before the National Executive Committee to answer a series of questions regarding issues that have come to the fore over the past couple of months. Of course, there was the whole knighthood issue. There's been the issue surrounding the Thanet election, and of course his comments in a book which came out regarding Brexit.
So he was under suspicion?
Well, he was coming to answer these questions, and they would have been difficult questions which the NEC put forward.
So he did jump, in your view?
Well, no. I'm not saying that the NEC would have thrown Douglas Carswell out of the party tomorrow, but he would have faced some very difficult questions. But what is clear is that a fissure has developed between UKIP and Douglas Carswell over the past couple of months, and I'm not surprised by him leaving the party yesterday. All
right, so you've lost Mr Carswell,
yeah,
Diane James,
yeah,
Stephen Wolfe, Aaron Banks. You failed to win the Stoke by-election. Mr Farage is now a pundit on US TV. UKIP really now stands for the UK Irrelevance Party, doesn't it?
Well, an opinion poll 2 days ago had us on 12%. Membership continues to rise. We've got
You've been on more than 12.
Oh, we have been on more than 12.
You're just kind of irrelevant now, aren't you?
Well, at 12, well, you know, if 1 in 10 of the population are prepared to vote UKIP, and let's not forget in 2015, 4 million people went out and voted UKIP. Yes, you know, we've been through a difficult period, but over the summer, exciting things are going to be happening within the party. We're going to rewrite the constitution. We're going to restructure the party. The party will have a new feel to it, and we'll be launching pretty much the post-Brexit UKIP at Torquay in our conference in September.
Aaron Banks, who used to pay quite a lot of your bills, he says that the current leadership, that would be you, couldn't knock the skin off a rice pudding. That's just another way of saying you're irrelevant, isn't it?
I don't think that's quite fair, to be honest with you. I mean, I've only been in the job since November the 28th. We've taken steps to restructure the party already. The party is on a sound financial footing. We're not going to have a problem money-wise going forward. You know, this is a party which now can really unify, can look forward to the post-Brexit era. Tomorrow, we're launching our 6 Brexit tests for the Prime Minister, and UKIP has got to be the guard dog of Brexit, because let's not forget, if it wasn't for UKIP, there wouldn't have been a referendum, and we certainly wouldn't have Brexit.
Of course, every time you say you're going to unify, someone else leaves. Can you just clarify this for me? Is Aaron Banks still a member?
No, Aaron isn't a member of UKIP at this present moment in time. He's been a generous donor in the past. He's done a great job ensuring that we get Brexit, and I'm very thankful for that. But Aaron isn't a member of UKIP at this present moment in time.
All right. He's just submitted an invoice for £200,000 for the use of call centres.
Yeah.
Are you going to pay that?
No, no.
You're not?
No, no.
All right, that should be interesting to watch. On this, in the aftermath of the Westminster attack, Nigel Farage told Fox News that it vindicated Mr. Trump's extreme vetting of migrants. Now, since the attacker was born in Kent, like Nigel Farage was born in Kent, can you explain the relevance of that remark?
Well, look, I mean, I personally haven't supported Donald Trump's position on this, but what I will say, and this is what Nigel has said as well, we have a problem within the Muslim community. It's a small number of people who hate the way we live.
Can you explain the relevance of Mr. Farage's remark, was my question.
Well, Mr. Farage also made the point about multiculturalism being a problem as well, and he is absolutely correct on that point, because we can't have separate communities living separate lives and never integrating, because that leads to radicalism.
How would extreme vetting of migrants help you track down a man who was born in Kent?
In this case, it wouldn't.
So why make the point to Fox News is my question.
Maybe in other cases it would. But as I say, I'm not a supporter of Donald Trump's position on extreme vetting. Never have been.
Okay.
So I'm probably the wrong person to be asking this question to, Andrew.
Okay, well, I think that's probably become clear in my efforts to get you to answer it. Let me ask you this. Should there be a by-election in Clacton now?
Well, Douglas has called by-elections in the past when he has left a political party. I know that there's certain people within UKIP who are keen to go down this line. I mean, Douglas is always very keen on recall, and if 20% of people within his constituency want a by-election, then maybe he should go ahead and we should have one. UKIP will be opening nominations for Clacton very soon.
All right. Hold on with us, Mr. Nuttall. I've got Douglas Carswell here in the studio. Why not call a by-election now?
Well, I'm not switching parties.
You're coming independent.
There's a profound difference. I'm not submitting myself to the authority, to the whip of a new party. If I was doing so, then quite rightly, as I did previously, I would feel obliged to trigger a by-election. Look at it this way. If every time an MP in the House of Commons either resigned the whip or lost the whip, far from actually strengthening the democracy against the party bosses, that would actually give those who ran parties enormous power. So I'm being absolutely consistent here. I'm not joining a party. I'm not crossing the floor.
All right.
So I don't need to call about it.
It is a change of status. And Nigel Farage has just said that he's going to write to every constituent in Clacton. And he wants to try and get 20% of constituents to hold a by-election. We're going to test him, he says. Write to every house in Clacton and find out if his constituents want a by-election. If 20% do, we'll find out if Mr. Carswell is honourable. What do you say?
I'm sure they'll be delighted to hear from Nigel, and I'm sure...
What's the answer to the question?
There have been several by-elections where Nigel's had the opportunity to contact the electorate, and those didn't always go according to plan.
But if you did get 20%, would you?
No, I yesterday sent an email to nearly 20,000 constituents. I've had a huge number of responses back, all but a handful overwhelmingly supportive.
Less than a month ago, you told the Press Association you were 100% UKIP. 100%. Now you're 0%. What happened?
I saw Theresa May triggering Article 50, and we've won, Andrew.
You knew that a month ago she was going to trigger Article 50.
Well, we couldn't be certain. I thought on June the 24th I had serious thoughts about making the move.
But a month ago we knew Article 50 was going to be triggered.
I wanted to be absolutely certain that Article 50 would be triggered, and I think it's right. This is why ultimately UKIP exists, in order to get us out of the European Union. We should be cheerful. Rather than attacking one another, we should be celebrating. This is our moment. We made it happen. Why all the gloom?
Well, did you try to sideline the former UKIP leader during the referendum campaign?
Not at all. I've been very open about this, the idea that I was involved in some sort of subterfuge. I made it very clear when I joined UKIP.
Well, you tried to sideline him openly rather than by subterfuge.
I always made the point that we needed to be optimistic, we needed to be inclusive, we needed to be broad, and we needed to be progressive to win.
And you
that's
didn't
why
think he was?
I made it very clear, both in my acceptance speech in Clacton and when I said that Vote Leave should get designation, that the only way Euroscepticism could win would be by being more than just angry nativist.
Paul Nuttall, what do you make of that?
Well, do you know, I am happy. I'm over the moon that we've achieved Brexit. Unlike Douglas, I don't really have that much confidence in Theresa May because history proves that she's always been very good at talking the talk, but when it comes to walking the walk, she always tends to fail. And I'm just disappointed because I wanted Douglas to be part of the post-Brexit UKIP where we would move forward with a raft of domestic policies and we could go on and take seats at Westminster.
Do you think he tried to sideline Mr Farage during the referendum campaign?
Vote Leave certainly didn't want Nigel Farage front of house. We know that. They freely admit that, and they've admitted it on the media over the past year. Look, you know, Nigel still was front of house because he is Nigel Farage, and you know, if it wasn't for Nigel, as I said earlier, we wouldn't have had the referendum and we wouldn't have achieved Brexit because Nigel Farage appealed, like UKIP, to a certain section of the population.
If our primary motive as politicians is to get us out of the European Union, why are we having this row in the first place? Why can't we all just celebrate what's happening on Wednesday?
Well, we can, Douglas, but as I say, you're far more confident that Theresa May will deliver on this than I am. But beyond that, as I say, you know, UKIP may well have been a single-issue pressure group 10 years ago. It wasn't a single-issue pressure group that you joined back in 2014. It wasn't a single-issue pressure group that you stood for in 2015 at the general election. And I'm very disappointed that you've now left us when we're about to move on into a new exciting era.
What specifically gives you a lack of confidence in Mrs May's ability to deliver?
Her record as Home Secretary. I mean, this is the Home Secretary who said she was going to deal with radical Islam. Nothing happened. This is the Home Secretary who said that she was going to get immigration down to the tens of thousands. Well, last year, in her last year as Home Secretary, a city the size of Newcastle came to this country. That isn't the tens of thousands.
I think we need to take yes for an answer eventually. I mean, some of the problem with some of the Eurosceptics is they never accept that actually they've won the argument. We've won. Theresa May is going to do what we've always wanted her to do. Let's be happy. Let's celebrate that.
No, Douglas, but let's just wait till she starts bartering things away. Let's wait till she betrays our fishermen, just as other Conservative Prime Ministers have done in the past. Let's just wait until we end up still paying some form of membership fee into the European Union or some large divorce bill. That isn't what people voted for on June the 23rd. And if you want to align yourself with that, then I'm sorry, you're not a UKIPper in my opinion.
So for UKIP to have any relevance, it all has to go wrong.
Well, I'm confident that she will start to barter things away and then politics will come back onto our turf. But beyond that, there will be a post-Brexit UKIP which will stand up for our veterans, which will stand for controlling and cutting immigration, slashing a foreign aid bill and becoming the party of law and order.
All right. Just finally, to you, Douglas Carswell. You say you have confidence in Mrs May to deliver in a way that Paul Nuttall doesn't. You've backed her. You were a Conservative. You believe that the Brexit will be delivered under a Conservative government. Why would you not fight the 2020 election as a Conservative?
To be honest, I feel pretty comfortable being independent. If you join a party, you've got to agree to a whole bunch of stuff that, frankly, I wouldn't want to agree with. I'm very comfortable being independent. I think fundamentally, politics is
so you'll
a
fight
cartel.
2020 as an independent?
Big changes coming to politics. If you look at what CrowdPack is doing for the raising of funds, if you look at what Vote Leave did in creating a pop-up party...
I've only got 5 seconds. Will you fight as an independent come the next general election?
Let's wait and see.
Very well. OK, Douglas Carswell, Paul Nuttall.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.